You all good, mate? Yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
We're rolling. We're rolling. Okay, so a big welcome to the show today to Benjamin Bloom from the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. A big request from a lot of fans to get you on the show, mate. One of the very few, as we were talking off air, outsiders to be welcomed with open arms.
I've
Millwall.
broken the Millwall code. I think what you have to do is you have to spend a certain amount of time in those toilets where loads of people are hiding having a cigarette. Yeah, and that then passes you into the Millwall family. But no, very happy to be here and very flattered that you've had requests to have me on.
Yes, mate. Well, we spoke to each other previously. We never actually got round to doing this, but at that point, yours was solely an Ipswich sort of channel. As you're an Ipswich fan, we'll get into that for those who may not know later on. Shouldn't take long. It's got in early. Sorry. And then you sort of with Ipswich going down, you sort of distracted the channel away and gone for an all-in Championship channel, mate. Honestly, you're absolutely flying. All credit to you because you're catching me up on subscribers. I think you're going to pass me soon, which I'm not sure if I'm too happy about.
All I can think of is, when you said he's gone in early, I'm thinking, Vinnie Jones on Steve McMahon in the cup final. he knew he wasn't going to get the red card if he smashed him early in the first minute. That's all I think of. Now, we were obviously, without retelling the story in too much detail, we were doing the Blue Monday podcast for Ipswich, and then we wanted to, have some YouTube content. We asked someone else to do it, and he said he'd do it, and then didn't want to do it at the last minute. And we got to this pre-season friendly against Charlton, and I guess this was like 15-16, and Ipswich lost the friendly 6-1. So I come up to this friendly and think, well, look, I'd better do the YouTube thing if no one else is going to do it. And of course, as you know from YouTube, there's nothing like a 6-1 defeat without many of the fans being there because it was a friendly for people to engage in the video. So I made this video, and yeah, it was initially just Ipswich, and then just very lucky after that. We got to Christmas one year, and I was working in education, so I thought I got a bit of time. I went to see Wolves play at Sheffield Wednesday, and this was when Wolves had Nuno. You remember that team? Far, complete cheat code. Had 3 Champions League players in their team in the Championship. Got 99 points. So their fans were high on life. And I went to one of their games, and Ruben Neves smashed one in from 25 yards. So I've been really lucky that when I've experimented with branching out or whatever, something has happened in the game that's meant, oh, okay, we can push on and do it. So now, yeah, like you said, COVID has ridded me of my job. So I'm having a bash at this full time. So if anyone is new to me, please get the plug in early. Please hit subscribe, and we cover the Championship. And hopefully, when the doors open, we'll be down at Millwall, 3 or 4 times, hopefully more next season.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, I've got to say, I did say to you off air, how well you've done. Like your knowledge of the Championship and every team is just absolutely astounds me. I said to you as well, and I've always been honest about this. You said, could I name 3 players from each team in the Championship? Probably not. No, I know Millwall back to front and inside out, but your knowledge of football is a little bit frightening at times. I'm like, how does he know so much, this guy?
Honestly, I'm not any kind of savant. What it is once you start doing the league as a whole, it's actually the YouTube comments. You literally get people telling you everything, and you do a live stream and you do a Q&A, and what I get is the equivalent of someone with your knowledge of Millwall from, I don't know, Bristol City, talking to me about Bristol City. And hopefully I'm just in the right place to absorb all of it. And with Ipswich being relegated down to League One, it was either go and cover them, at Shrewsbury or AFC Wimbledon or whatever, or keep doing the Championship. So, yeah, I don't profess to be any kind of fountain of knowledge or whatever, but the channel has now become like a meeting point for nerds of championship knowledge. So I literally just try and drink as much of it in. And what I will say, the great thing about doing this is, for example, 2017-18, you're having a great second half of the season under Neil Harris. So I go, I'll have some of that. What's going on? what's going on at Millwall here? You know, go down to a few games. And of course, your fans, they're high on life. They're enjoying it. You make the videos, you chat to people, and you can, you know, I was there for Sheffield United. I was there for, you know, Leeds last year or whatever. You can position yourself for all of the big stories and enjoy vicariously. If you're an Ipswich fan where nothing good ever happens, you can enjoy vicariously, you know, Millwall 17-18 and that run to near the playoffs. So it's great.
But there is a small rumour going round. You've got a soft spot for Millwall. That's what I keep hearing. He's got a soft spot for Millwall. He knows his football. Get him on. Have you got a soft spot for Millwall?
Of course I have. Yeah. I mean, I don't get how you, and this is not me pandering because I'm on the channel. I don't get how you can go to Millwall and not understand what a unique club it is. Do you know what I mean? You've got your eyes shut if you. I mean, look, I'm lucky because I go in the homestand. I go and sit in the Kitchener and sit above halfway. I get it if you go in the away stand and you get funneled in through the train and around the back, you might not understand it. But I just don't get how when there's so many sanitized, boring football experiences, how you wouldn't enjoy going to Millwall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a throwback. It's a bit intimidating. It's a bit loud. You've got like the most unique, the Mill chant. You just don't hear that anywhere else. And you've got this working class but brutally honest fan base who, if they see a player put a shift in, applaud. If they see a player try and do a Cruyff turn inside their own box, they say, what the hell are you doing? Do you know what I mean? So you've got all of those things together. So I, as a neutral, I don't understand why with so many dull places you can go and watch football, people wouldn't enjoy going and doing the Millwall experience. So yeah, of course I've got a soft spot. It's a really unique. Who else? I'll ask you. Who else is like Millwall?
Well, no one, mate. No one comes
No one,
close.
exactly.
Really. No, definitely not. It's definitely unique, and to see that you've grasped that and you've taken it on board and you're enjoying it, mate, it's brilliant. So, as I say, always welcome.
It's the most blindingly obvious thing in the world. I mean, Millwall fans wouldn't thank me for saying it, but there's a similar thing about sort of Pompey, you know, about Leeds,
Yeah,
you know, these fan bases where they're, and you guys would admit it, they're just mental. Do you know what I mean? They're just they're so honed in on their club, and you know, then the passion and the you know, the intensity. That's the word, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you get from Millwall, intensity.
We've got a soft spot for the fans and the team. Sorry, the club. What about the team? Let's talk about. Well, first of all, let's talk about the teams that have gone up, because a lot of people are now saying, you know, this season, next season coming, 2020-21 will be one of the weakest seasons in the Championship for a long time, and a big opportunity for us to push on.
Yeah, I mean that's a theory that could turn out to be true. Let's just say it right now: the Championship is never easy and never pans out how anybody thinks it's going to do. You think, oh, it's going to open out this way. Obviously, you've lost two parachute teams, which is. And let's be honest, when we're talking about Millwall, and please nobody get upset, we're talking about, in terms of turnover, a club that is well up against it when you consider that three teams come down with 45 million quid parachute payments, and there's the potential that the other ones are left over in the league. So, okay, you've lost Fulham and West Brom, who were on parachute payments. They're gone. And obviously, you've lost Leeds with a manager who's just way too good for the league. So that makes things easier, doesn't it? So then you have a look and you think, what's coming down? And you look at Norwich and you think, you know, eek, really. Because what I always say, Dan, is any team that comes down with a year one parachute payment that doesn't make absurdly stupid operational decisions should really be finishing in the top six. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of them do. And, you know, that's good. That's good for clubs like Millwall who don't have the parachute payments. So Norwich, I would be worried about, because unless they do something stupid like fire their manager, they should be very high up. Bournemouth, well, you don't know. Jason Tyndall's a rookie, and you know, you hear stories about lots of back payments on transfers need to be paid, but then you look, they've already raised 60 million quid from selling Ake and Ramsdale yesterday, but they've got a rookie manager. Watford, well, Watford are kind of masters of the Championship in the same way Norwich are, aren't they?
Exactly, mate. Exactly. I was going to say they're two teams that just seem to be too good for the champ, not good enough for the Prem, and just annoying when they're around because they.
You could not have put that any better. Yeah, they're Championship giants and Premier League minnows, aren't they? Watford, and they are though, aren't they? They
no, exactly right.
Always manage to get the parachute payments and get out, and you know, even like with Norwich, obviously as an Ipswich fan, it's galling. But just when you thought they'd messed it up and run dry, they had that mad season in 18-19 and got up. So Watford, I've done my due diligence on the manager. He's kicked ass in Greece and in Israel. So I don't know anything about those leagues, but the win percentage is massively high. So on paper, he's a good manager, but Dan, it's the Championship, you know. So, and it depends who goes out. So you'd look at those. What I would say is your year two parachute teams, well, Huddersfield don't have an advantage because all of that money's getting swamped up to pay off the old owners. Cardiff, well, you'd know they've got a pretty decent manager, and I suspect they'll be knocking for certain members of your playing staff. I'm sure he'll give it a cheeky go. Whether he's successful or not is a different matter. Then you've got Swansea, who are year three. Well, they're not going to spend a load of money, but they tend to do a good job recruiting. Already Corey Smith, that's a good signing for free, and Freddie Woodman back on loan. And then Stoke. Well, Stoke could do anything. Stoke could finish in the top two or the bottom two because they've been such a. When I was talking about teams that come down with a big advantage and then are just a basket case, well, that's been Stoke for the last two seasons. So, yes, it could be easy if the Bournemouth rookie manager doesn't succeed, the Watford rookie manager doesn't succeed, Huddersfield and Swansea don't spend, Harris doesn't do it at Cardiff, and Stoke is still a basket case. And then, if you're Millwall, if you're Bristol City, or one of those, Preston, one of those teams whose weight to strike, you could finish in the playoffs. So I don't know. That what you said could be exactly right. This could be easy. When you're looking for big clubs, you wouldn't say Norwich, Bournemouth, or Watford are big clubs, but you said it really well. They always get out of the Championship, Watford and Norwich particularly, don't they? So, okay, it's not Leeds or Aston Villa or Nottingham Forest or Sheffield Wednesday, who you'd say, oh, big club. In the end, they'll find their way out of the Championship somehow. So I don't know what your view would be on that, but I can see an argument for and an argument against.
Yeah, well, mate, listen, as I said, I'm sitting here just mind blown by your knowledge of the parachute. It's just unbelievable. So fair play to you for that. I just think, you know, and I'd say you might be able to prove me wrong or correct me, but Watford are a team that are going to come down and might go about their business quietly. I don't think that they'll probably lose. I think they'll probably keep, you know, most of their squad together. I don't think they'll lose a lot of players where, obviously, as you've already said, although Bournemouth have got the money in, they've already lost two of their best players, and it's all good having the dough in the bank, but you could end up, obviously, imploding, like you said, and end up being a Hull, for example, who got relegated. You know what I mean? So,
there you go.
Wigan nearly gone out of business. So, yeah, I think, personally, that Watford are going to be there or thereabouts. You know, the comment of it could be an easy season, that wasn't my comment. And no, there is no easy games in the Championship. But
that could be right.
I do the videos on a Saturday. I come home and I get all the fan cams out and I edit it. And I make sure that I watch the EFL show. I don't even watch the match of the day. I'm not interested in the Premier League. Honestly, I'm not.
There's enough carnage, and I think that last day of the season, it's like if you're a Championship fan, that last day of the season where you had West Brom going against QPR, Brentford going against Barnsley, and then you had the teams playing it out at the bottom, and we're watching along, knowing that it's going to be a complete train wreck of massive entertainment. And then all these Premier League fans are going, oh, Championship's pretty entertaining, isn't it? And we're like, yeah, we know. It's like this every week, lads. Come and watch. But listen, whoever made that call, it could be easy. They could be right. I mean, who would have thought the year that Norwich, Sheffield United and Villa went up, that Norwich and Sheffield United would have been the top two. That for them to get the top two involved West Brom not getting promoted with Dwight Gale, Jay Rodriguez, and Harvey Barnes as their front three for most of the season. It involved a Leeds implosion, Stoke completely spewing all their parachute payments, and Swansea not making it. So no one would have had Norwich and Sheffield United first and second. And if you are Millwall and you're not moneyed in that way, that's what you're waiting for. You want to be the Norwich or the Sheffield United to go, right, everyone's messing this up. Here we go.
Do you think we've honestly got a chance, Millwall, of being there or thereabouts next year?
Yes, but it's so hard because what it relies on is Millwall making really good operational decisions, which, let's be honest, they normally do.
Yeah.
Millwall doing good recruitment, which they normally do. Millwall's key players staying fit all season. Well, that's in the lap of the gods, isn't it? Yeah. And then it requires other teams to not perform as they should do. And that's no knock on Millwall, but Millwall don't have 45 million quid coming in as broadcast money that they can go and, I don't know. Look, someone's probably going to go and get Rhian Brewster on loan, who was at Swansea, and pay him 1.5 million quid for the year. Millwall can't do that. Do you know what I mean?
1.5 million is our current record signing. That's what we paid in the transfer for Ryan Leonard. So
exactly, and you're exactly right, Dan. And this is where I get really cross with fans of teams that have got parachute money, where I say to them, for example, I'm not having a pop at Norwich, where Norwich say, oh, Jordan Rhodes was a great signing for Norwich. So they take him on loan for a whacking great fee. He plays back up to Timu Pukki and comes on as a sub every now and then. And they say, what a great signing that is. And I say, you do realise probably over the cost of the season, that was more than Millwall's, Barnsley's, pick a team. Charlton have been in the Premier League. Luton's. Do you know what I mean? That's more than their transfer record, and you're directly competing against those teams in that league. And I don't want to make this a whole thing just about the financial side, but that's what Millwall are up against. So yes, they can do it. And look, they finished 8th. And what was the 17-18 finish? Was it 8th as well?
17-18 was 8th as well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to come from a position of saying straight away, that's outstanding. What's the average attendance at Millwall?
I'd say 14,000, something like that, I think.
That's outstanding. Yeah. On an average attendance of 14,000 with no parachute money and a transfer record of 1.5 million. That's outstanding. So that's what Millwall fans need to understand. That, and I'm sure they do, and they know their club better than I do. But they're emotionally invested, and I'm not. So I can.
This is exactly why I've had you on the channel today, because I'll give my opinion. Sometimes, I've been guilty of, especially full-time reactions, of letting my heart rule my head, and then what you'll get is as well. And listen, I love all the boys that do work for me on the channel, but sometimes we all in a group chat, we all talk, and then we all get on each other's ideas and sort of morph into one sometimes. So it's very good to get outsider's perspective,
Yeah, and let's be honest. The thing that makes your channel good is the emotion, though, is getting the emotion of fans. I come from a more sober, analytical point of view, but what that does allow me to see the wood for the trees sometimes. When I'm talking to a fan and they say, "Oh, we should have won that," and I'm like, "Really? Are you sure? Do you want me to show you? Do you want me to show you some numbers that maybe disagree?" But the point I'm making is that a Millwall fan will look with their heart and say, right, 8th position last year, can we improve? Because if we improve 2 places, we're 3 games away from the Premier League in the playoffs. So that's how they'll look at it. Whereas I'll look at it and say, okay, 8th place. Was that above expectations? Probably. Can we improve on it? Possibly. I think. I mean, if you look at that question in isolation, I think Millwall can improve. Manager's only been in there for since October last season. There's young players coming through that I'm sure we'll talk about. Mitchells and Thompson if they're fit. Recruitment looks good already. Troy Parrott and getting Woods back is a good deal as well. There's signs that they can improve, but you have to take into account the first question you said, what is coming into the division this season? Who are our new enemies we have to look at? And you have to, for Millwall to go up, it has to be a perfect storm. That can happen for Sheffield United and happen for Norwich. You know,
it's a perfect perspective of the money. You know, it could be a blessing, or it could not be, because as we've discussed, clubs just have imploded and just gone double backwards. Seems like Hull, Middlesbrough nearly went again last season. Both clubs, supposedly big clubs, have been in the Premier League for a long time. And Millwall, yes, we don't spend a lot, but we haven't got that option, and I think that is almost a blessing. And through that route, we've gone softly, very slowly about our business, and with a brilliant chairman in John Berylson, I think it's put us in the position we have. And now we haven't recruited hardly anyone this season. I'm expecting Mason Bennett to rejoin on loan. But other than that, I think you just, very small tweaks. And I think that reins us in through not having the money, but does us a favour at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's pretty much three ways to get out of the Championship. One is you're too big for it and you just muscle your way out. Aston Villa did that. Yeah, they spent a fortune on wages and they had Jack Grealish, John McGinn, and Tammy Abraham. It's the same as Wolves. You just bully your way out and you're too good. Another way is to coach your way out of it, which essentially is what Leeds did. They had a brilliant manager, and Luke Ayling was there when he arrived. Liam Cooper was there when he arrived. Stuart Dallas. He made those players better. And okay, they added a few, but he coached them out. And the third way is to recruit your way out, which is Brentford do good recruitment, but they also do good coaching. But you think about someone like Bristol City, where gradually over the years, what they spend goes up, and what they sell goes up and goes up and goes up. And my question I made in my Millwall season review is, do you now undo the purse strings a little bit? Now, I'm not saying start gambling on players, but saying, for example, our transfer record is 1.5 million for Ryan Leonard or whatever Bodvarsson, cost. Or Stephen Reed 100 years ago, or whenever it was. Do you now start to back your recruitment and say, now don't shoot me for saying this, say, if I sell Jed Wallace for 12 million quid and I give Gary Rowett 10 million pounds and he signs 2 players for 4 million pounds and 1 player for 2 million pounds, on the assumption those players will either get us promoted or they will increase in value to the point that I can turn that 10 million into 15 million and then turn that. That's what Bristol City and Brentford, etc., are trying to do. Millwall are steadfastly refusing to do that. They're keeping Jake Cooper and they're keeping Jed Wallace, etc. And it might work on the basis that you coach your way out of the league. Do you know what I mean? That you bring in Ryan Woods, you change the pattern of play a little bit. Jed Wallace improves more than anyone thinks he's going to. And all of a sudden, you end up with this really, really good team and, they don't get picked off. So my question to you is, would you be comfortable as a Millwall fan with a big sale? And let's be honest, we're talking about Wallace, Cooper, or maybe Ben Thompson, if someone's really been watching closely and, knows that he's a good player in the background. Yeah. Would you be comfortable with a big sale to start up in the ante recruitment wise?
It's a good question. And with that, sorry, before I get onto that, you're spot on what you said. We've held back so far, and in the past we are notorious for selling our players on the cheap. Tim Cahill went for, I think it was, makes you feel sick to say, at 1.5 million to Everton. We're known for folding, and when we do buy a player or sell a player, usually when we buy a player, it's always for an undisclosed fee, so we never ever know. And I think clubs know we're a selling club. So I think they know that we are going to buckle. And like you're right what you said, we haven't done that this time. Again, recruitment, if we got the temp, I would be comfortable selling Jed Wallace. I'll be comfortable with that. He is our main man. He does blow hot and cold, which can happen. But make no mistake, he's won us a lot more games than he's cost us. So, and wingers can be a bit in and out, can't they? I would be comfortable. If I had to sell one of the three, I'd be comfortable with selling Jed Wallace for £10 million. I don't think we'd get £10 million for him. I think, again, we're known to be a selling club, and our hand in the past has maybe shown to be weak. So I think, especially in the current climate with the corona, I think we'd be lucky, and I'm not saying it's right. I think we'd be lucky to get 5 million for him. For 10 million, I'll take it. Recruitment-wise, Neil Harris to Gary Rowett. Now, I think I said it on my live stream last night. Neil Harris had some horrendous signings, but he also had some unbelievable ones. Jake Cooper included for £400,000. Sean Hutchinson in on a free. So I wrote down once Harris's good buys to Harris's bad buys, and I think there was like 11 of each. So it's 50-50, and I can understand why the board may have been a little bit, wary of giving him the money because, his track record, I'd say, probably was 50-50 on transfers, in my opinion. Rowett has come into our club, and it's different for him other than when he was at Burton to every club he's ever been at because he's not had the money to spend. We bought Ryan Woods for 6.5 million from Brentford, and I know it's a lot of money. When you look at it now that we've got Ryan Woods, although I think he's on big wages, it looks like if he has another good season, touch wood, we're going to get him on a free when his contract expires at the end of this season. So Gary Rowett's recruitment, as much as I love Neil Harris as our manager and as grateful as I am for what he did for the club on and off the pitch and taking us forward, I can already see that Rowett goes after a better class of player. And again, Rowett's had money to spend at every other club he's managed other than his first job, Burton. So I think that I'm not sure whether he would have took the job unless he had guarantees of he's going to get X amount to spend. So I would say yes. I would take 10 million for Jeb Wallace. I think he's not replaceable, but I'm not his biggest fan, which may sound crazy, and I will get shit for that in the comments. But I'll be comfortable with someone who wasn't maybe as flair, wasn't maybe as pulling worldies out the bag, but could just cross a ball better and pass a ball better and provide our strikers with more service. So yeah, I'd go with that. And then I'd be very interested to see where Gary Rowett would spend the money because, again, so far we've got Woods in on loan. I think we're going to get Bennett back on a permanent for very cheap, in my opinion. I don't know anything as fact. And Troy Parrott on a loan. So it would be interesting if Gary Rowett was given some money to spend. I mean, I know he was interested in Kiefer Moore, but I think he seems more interested in Cardiff than coming to
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone, yeah.
Oh, he's gone, is he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, that's that one out the window then. So, yeah, I would be interested. A question that will lead me on to ask you, if we got the £10 million, who do you think that which players would be suited to us, would be good for Millwall, and where do you think we need to strengthen?
Crikey, that's a difficult question. The difficulty you start to get now is, here I go politically avoiding the question, is a lot of the desirable free agents are going or gone, haven't they? A brilliant player for Millwall would be Sam Morsey, the Wigan midfielder, who's an absolute horrible central midfielder to play against. Really, really good. He'd be a really good partner for Woods, actually, if Woods was the playmaker and Morsey was the insurance. It's tricky to say because you would look at it. You don't know what their plan is, do you? You try and look from the outside and figure out their plan. They've gone early on Woods and Parrott, which is smart. You would think if fees were laid down, for example, when I see QPR signing a striker from Livingston yesterday for £2 million, my brain goes, oh, that's great, but Bright Samuel or Eze is going to be leaving now because where are they going to pay for that £2 million from? So if I was seeing fees being paid already for Parrott and Woods, I'd be thinking someone's going out because how are they paying for this if not? It's a tricky one. I hadn't really... It depends what Rowett's going to do because Rowett's a bit different to Harris, isn't he? In that Harris played that very high-octane 4-4-2, direct, but could be quite open at times. It was quite thrilling to watch when you talk about that 17-18 season. You knew Millwall, whatever happened, we're going to go at whoever, especially at home. We're just going to go for it. Whereas Rowett, well, he doesn't mind drawing a game. He looks at the other team. It's a slower tempo, isn't it? But maybe the football is a little bit less kind of crash bang wallop than Harris's.
I thought you was going to say a little bit better. I was going to say it's a lot better. It's a lot better standard of play.
Look, you say better. I say who won. Do you know what I mean? So, true. For example, Cardiff played horrible to watch football under Neil Warnock, yet finished one place above in second Slavisa Jukanovic's Fulham, who played beautiful football. And I just say who finished higher in the league. So, but however, people get very uppity about good football, bad football, etc. I like a good mix. I love seeing a Neil Warnock team play a Marcelo Bielsa team. I think that's brilliant. It's like, and sometimes Warnock beats Bielsa. Sometimes, you'd expect more often than not a Bielsa team to beat a Warnock team. But yeah, in terms of the type of player, I think it was quite a good hire, wasn't it, Rowett? Because it's not miles away from Harris. It will suit the Millwall fans because, like we said, they know what they want and they know what they like. And a Rowett team, even if they're pragmatic, they're tough to play against and tough to beat. And I suppose tough is a good word to describe what Millwall fans want their team to be, don't they? So I'd have to have a think. It depends whether he's gonna, because we saw a long time three at the back, wing backs, and kind of sort of like a 3-4-3, but that could fold back into a 5-4-1 without the ball under Rowett. So I suppose you'd be looking at the wing back positions to try and get real specialists in there. Depends whether he's going to play a number 10, because Ben Thompson could do that already. But look, you always want good players and you always want goal scorers, don't you? So, and I think he said something very revealing when he said when he signed Troy Parrott, Rowett said, oh, he can play anywhere across a front three, which was a big flag to me to say, look, it's still going to be like a 3-4-3 and it will be Matt Smith or a big lump and then runners around him, whether that's Wallace or Parrott. So maybe it's not going to be a number 10. But off the top of my head, Sam Morsy from Wigan, bearing in mind they're getting absolutely pillaged for their players as well at the moment. You could get him cheap.
The thing is as well, like, we're talking, I'm just looking, I'm thinking, you're right what you're saying, someone goes out, someone comes in, you do, especially with Millwall, so keep my eye on that. And I'm like, we've got Woods back, and I know he's on a lot of high wage. We'll probably get Bennett back. So, but they was already there last season. Bringing Parrott in, we haven't actually spent anything. And I'm thinking, well, I'm like that now. I'm thinking when there's going to be a big one coming through the door, there's got to be a big one coming through the door. But again, we're pushed for time due to the COVID-19. The season starts in 2 weeks.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just feel that fans of non-parachute teams in the Championship shouldn't think a good player leaving for a good fee is a bad thing. I know it's heartbreaking when, if it's a Jake Cooper and, you've built their career up, or even worse is a Ben Thompson where they've come through, or a Billy Mitchell or someone. I just think that, to talk about Ipswich for one sec, Ipswich were in the playoffs in the late 90s, year after year. We brought through Kieran Dyer and he was way, way too good for us. And we sold Kieran Dyer, and selling Kieran Dyer meant that we signed John McGreal as a centre-half, Jermaine Wright from Crewe, I can remember all these players, Gary Croft, and then we signed Marcus Stewart, the superstar striker, during the season. And if we hadn't have developed and sold that player, we wouldn't have got promoted. And maybe if we'd have kept him and he'd have got injured, we wouldn't have got promoted either. So sometimes it's not a bad thing if one goes out, provided Mr. Berylson releases the funds and allows, two players who aren't as good to come in, but the sum of those two players might be worth more to you than having Wallace or, whoever.
No, exactly. And so you don't want to tweak things. I think the key to success is how we've been doing it. Very softly, just tweak things very slowly. And obviously you say we need our key players to perform with the core of our side. Let's talk about a few of them. We'll start in the back line. One you may know well. Man goes by the name of Bartosz Balkowski.
Oh dear.
I said, just in the comments, I said Benjamin Bloom's coming to show. So tell him thanks for Bart. But you get that.
Yeah. Right, look, obviously it's infuriating as an Ipswich fan to see yet another good player leave and do well elsewhere. It's not as simple as Ipswich were really dumb and Millwall took advantage. It's not that simple. There's a lot of moving parts in how you ended up getting such a good goalkeeper for such a good fee. To précis the story, obviously McCarthy. So Białkowski was 3 times Ipswich Player of the Year, fab goalkeeper. Everyone loved him, lovely bloke. All round good egg. McCarthy leaves. Paul Hurst comes in. Martin Waghorn gets sold. Dave McGoldrick gets sold. Joe Garner gets sold. Adam Webster gets sold. The one that stayed was Bart. Bart says, well, I'll go as well then, and gets a nice new contract. So Bart's now very highly paid under Paul Hurst, who's one of the worst Ipswich managers there's ever been, fired after 16 games. Paul Hurst drops Bart 90 minutes before the big local derby against Norwich, which I don't care what anyone says. If you support a team, the local derbies is important. I don't care whether that's Blackpool versus whoever or, Boreham Wood versus Barnet. It's important to you. Millwall, Charlton. Yeah, don't let anyone tell you that's not important. Do you know what I mean? He drops him 90 minutes before the game, and there's a falling out, etc., etc. He's then in and out of the team. And Bart, you won't believe this, seeing what he's done at Millwall, had a terrible season in his last. It was sad. It was really, really sad. The fallout, the in and out of the team. He lost his confidence. He lost his mojo, everything. And of course, he's now the highest paid player at the club. So couldn't have played it worse, Ipswich. You thought they couldn't have played it worse until you see the deal they do with Millwall. But so look, they get relegated. Bart needs to come off the books. He's had a really bad season. He's the highest paid player there. And fair play to Millwall. Did a really, a little bit of skullduggery with the medical. We all know that.
Done a number on you, didn't we?
You did, yeah, but we allowed you to. So the loan deal is done with the ludicrous clause that you've got an option to buy that ends 1 week into the transfer window in January, not the last day of the transfer window, so Ipswich can go and negotiate with other clubs, but 1 week. So basically, if no one comes in for Bart in that first week, all the bargaining power goes straight over to Millwall and they can sign him. Bart obviously comes in on loan. He's great. It's under Harris initially and then Rowett, and he's not asked. The thing with Bart is if you stick a good back line in front of him and you don't ask him to ping the ball 50 yards out or play out from the back, he's a great goalkeeper. And all I say about a keeper, Dan, is save the shots you should save. That's it.
100%, mate. I've barked down this tree so many times. Like the previous clown, Jordan Archer, used to infuriate me because I don't care if he headed the ball over the bar from a long-range pass back. I don't care if he made one unbelievable save at Bradford, which pretty much did keep us in that. It's the 15, 16 mistakes he made through the season, the bread and butter saves that give me the ump. And Tim Flowers, growing up, I was a bit of a goalkeeper, and Tim Flowers was my idol. And he come out once and he said, you don't judge a goalkeeper on how many great saves they make. You judge them on how few mistakes they make. And Bart, I was a little bit apprehensive when he first came because I looked at his show reel online and he's, as you know, doing a bit of editing yourself. Like, looking at his show reel, and a lot of his great saves come from second chance situations where he'd fluffed the first one. And then obviously when we played you at the Den, Ryan Leonard lobbed him and we beat you 3-0. And I weren't overly convinced. And a couple of mates said, no, trust me, he's brilliant. He is an out-and-out shot stopper. I mean, he looks like at times you can see he's not right. I think, with his knees, he looks like they've got to put a bit of WD-40 on him at times and wheel him out. Do you know what I mean? But he is an unbelievable shot stopper, and that's all I want my keeper to do. And he knows it. He doesn't try and do what he can't do. Well, he did it once, and he got the ball took off him against QPR, and we lost 2-1.
I was there. Yeah.
He just goes crash. That gets rid of it. But I don't, like you say, unbelievable shot stopper.
Absolutely. No, you're totally right. And one thing you'll notice about Bart, if it's going in the corner, he doesn't even dive. He's like, no, he's so no frills. He's like, well, I'm not going to save that. So sometimes people mistake, oh, Bart made a mistake. No, he didn't. He just doesn't dive. You watch next season. If someone curls one into the far corner that he's not going to save, if he just makes a snap judgment, I've got my angles right, I'm in the right place, goal. Do you know what I mean? So
there's nothing I can do about that one.
Yeah, no, he's a great goalkeeper if you set him up. He was set up to fail by Paul Hurst. Split centre backs, play the ball out into central midfield, drop you 90 minutes before the local derby. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to fall out with all the other dressing room leaders that Ipswich have got. So look, you can see I'm very annoyed about this. You did the deal. It was stupidity on Ipswich's part to have the buying clause happen 1 week into there. But look, Millwall were in a strong position. No one else came in for Bart. Bart didn't want to move up to Blackburn or Tony Mowbray or Wigan or whoever, because he's got kids in Ipswich, hour and a half away down to South London to the training ground. It was that Millwall were there at the right place at the right time. He's a great keeper. Just don't mess with him. Manage him well. Don't ask him to ping the ball out 50 yards to a wing back. Just stick Jake Cooper and Sean Hutchinson in front of him, and he will save all the shots that he should save.
Yeah, well, mate, he was our player of the year. Absolutely brilliant season from him.
Of course he was.
just to throw that one right at the end there. Other players, other key players for Millwall. I mean, as Millwall fans, we've got our own ideas who are our key players. Again, last year as an outsider looking in, who do you think's pivotal to our season next season?
Well, of course, I mentioned the two of them, Cooper and Hutchinson. And Hutchinson's now, he'd been linked with Norwich and better moneyed teams in the league. He's now raising up, and he's had a really good season as well. Cooper, look, any 6 foot, what is he, 6'5"?
6'7".
Is he really?
He's an absolute giant.
Oh my God. So look, any player of that size who's not terrible with their feet is going to make a difference in a football team. It's just simple biology, isn't it? So if you've got that guy and we used to see it over and again, and I used to tell people, I'd say, right, what's going to happen is Jake Cooper's going to go on his own to the back post. Everyone else will go to the near post. The corner will be floated in. Yeah. And because it's floated and the guy on the back post can't get a run, you cannot win the header. No, and I tell people over again, and he's not going to shoot for goal. He's going to head it back across and someone else is going to score. And you'd be like, this is the most obvious thing in the world. But if you have that player in your team and you have a reasonable set play, that's 5 to 10 goals in a season, even of people sticking 2 guys on Cooper and standing on his feet. So absolute lethal weapon in that league. I'd be interested in your thoughts on the fullbacks, because I always had the feeling that Murray Wallace was a centre-back playing at fullback and that Marlon Romeo, but I thought Steve Morrison's comments on Marlon Romeo on TV were interesting, that he could be better than he actually is. So you tell me about the fullbacks.
Did he say that? Did he?
He said that in what game was he doing, Dan? I can't remember. So look, someone fact check me on that one. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I happen to find Steve Morrison an intelligent guy who's worth listening to when he's on the TV. And having played with him, I thought that was good insight.
Well, you've asked me about would I sell Jed Wallace? I said yes. And now you've asked me about the wing backs. I completely agree. I love Marlon Romeo. He's been brilliant for the club. He's a young, exciting prospect. He's very, very exciting to watch going forward. Electric. He's defending at times. He's improved under the Rowett.
Of course he would. Yeah.
But obviously, with Rowett being a right back in his career. But his final ball seems to have got worse. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. He keeps seeming to cut in lately and trying to shoot on his left foot. I think maybe because he hasn't scored in a while. That's weighing on his mind. But he could be better. But again, listen, I'm happy he's at the club. And obviously, when him and Jed are clicking down the right-hand side, that's our most dangerous area of the pitch to attack the other team. So he could improve. And he's getting to the age now, I might be wrong, I think he's about 24. So he's been in the first team for a very long time now. So I could be wrong on that one, 23, 24. But he's getting to the age now where if you're not going to improve on your technical ability by that sort of age, then you could be. I don't think it's ever going to happen, sort of thing, But he is a great player for Millwall. Fans love him. But again, it's with him and Jed. If they're on fire, they're unstoppable. But at times, if one isn't working, it sort of eliminates the other one from the game because they're not linking up, they're not overlapping, they're not getting balls in, and the crosses in at times from them both are not great. Murray Wallace, when he first came to the club as a centre back, we sold. Well, it wasn't a swap, but we sold Byron Webster to Scunthorpe, and we then bought Murray Wallace the other way, or vice versa. So everyone assumed that he was obviously Byron Webster's replacement, but I don't think he was because Byron Webster had been out with a long-term injury not long before that. So I watched him play against Plymouth in the early rounds. I think it's a Carling Cup or whatever it's called, Carabao Cup. And he was awful. Played centre defence. He got turned inside out so many times in one particular movement where they scored. He actually went left, went right, and fell over and done like a reverse roly-poly. And I was like, I just buried him on the full time. Like, who is this bloke, blah, blah, blah. Then he goes to left back. I absolutely love Murray Wallace. I think he's great. But again, for our attack, and we are down our right, but we do concede quite a few from our right. Down our left, we're the complete opposite. We don't. Murray Wallace is a left. His position is centre back, but he plays left back a lot better in my opinion. But he's playing out of position. He's an absolute unit of a man. One of the fittest players in the squad. I'm hearing. No one can compete with him in the running terms and anything like that. But he doesn't. He's not naturally gifted at going forward, so he does struggle to get beyond.
So Dan, sorry to interrupt. If a left wing back was to come in, could Rowett not play Wallace at left centre back with Cooper and Hutchison as a back three?
He could, but that scares me. The thought of that. I don't
Too slow?
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, too slow, too exposed.
Okay.
He does seem to have the hang of when. The only time I've ever seen Murray Wallace get absolutely destroyed by a winger is when Preston beat us 3-1 back end of the 18-19 season. They was 3-0 up after about 20 minutes, and he could not catch this winger. No, nothing really gets past him. He's quite basic. What he isn't going forward, what he isn't really helped out with in his defence is that one, someone playing in front of him. So we've got three up top on the left sort of side. We've struggled to fill that with a player that's pacey, gets down the line. Conor Mahoney came in and then sort of form dipped, but now he's come back good again. So Murray Wallace has never really had someone in front of him long term so he could link up with, But I suspect that Gary Rowett will be looking for a more attacking option than Murray Wallace. So he's done nothing wrong, Murray Wallace. Been very good this season. But I think if we want to improve going forward, I think we need a more attacking option as a wing back there. And it'd still be brilliant to have a squad player in and around it. Do you know what I mean? But
there you go.
Yeah.
And therein lies the answer to why I know so much about the Championship, because I constantly have conversations like this. Thank you.
Yeah, so, I mean, wing backs, again, it's Millwall is what it is. We are where we are, and we've got the players that we've got, and I won't knock either of them because I like Marlon Romeo as a player and I like Murray Wallace as a player, but they both got different strengths, different weaknesses, and if I could have £10 million and bring back Roberto Carlos out of retirement, I'd happily swap him for Murray Wallace. But say for what we paid for Murray Wallace and Marlon Romeo, we didn't pay anything for. So what we've got out of him in terms of professionalism and appearances, wise and
Dan, look at the
squad. It's all good, mate. It's all good.
Look at what the two Norwich fullbacks will get sold for later in the window. If you do have young English players who can get up and attack, Aarons and Lewis, that will be, the thick end of probably over 40 million combined. So you're saying the right thing. If you can't just get a modern wing back who can defend and attack, like Liverpool do. They don't just grow on trees, do they?
Yeah, we love Robertson and Trent, but I don't think we're going to get
him. Yeah, there you go.
But it's a difficult one because say we do bring someone in, just because they cost money, it doesn't mean it's going to work, and they could flop. They could not understand, the process and the DNA of the club, and we could get Murray Wallace out or sell Marlon Romeo on for money. It could take you years to find a suitable replacement. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair comment.
But let's talk about predictions. You're so good at what you do. I want you to predict now 1 to 24 in the. Let's talk about who we think is going to go up. If you could give me the three, and also what honest opinions on where you think we will finish. Look at the current situation.
In terms of the promoted teams, I'm going to give a very boring answer, but I just think that the financial. The competitive imbalance in the Championship because of the financial, because of those parachute payments every year, just makes it so hard for Millwall. Look, I would have thought, as much as it pains me to say as an Ipswich fan, I would have thought Norwich will be at least in the top four, won't they? Surely. We do this every year. It's so hard to see past Norwich and Watford. Bournemouth maybe because of the new manager. And then, look, Brentford, can they keep doing it year after year after year? Will they lose Ben Rama and Watkins? And
they're a great side. I don't know how they haven't gone up there, by the way.
Yeah, quite. But that's the thing. We were talking about the recruitment way of getting out. Yeah. The reason Brentford haven't gone up is because their biggest strength is their biggest weakness. The ability to produce and sell on players. But what you notice with Brentford, it takes them until October, November every year to get their team going again because they've sold, name them, Konza, Mopai, Metham, Yanaris, Hogan, Gray, all of them for small fortunes. But you would expect if Brentford can keep the process going there, that they would be good. Be interested to know what you think your mate Harris can do at Cardiff, because they are in receipt of year 2 parachute money and had a good old push up to 5th place at the end of the season. And then, do you know, I thought Forest would finish in the playoffs comfortably, and
how did they not that last day?
Ridiculous, yeah, collapsed at the end, didn't they? Then I like the look of Derby as well. Derby, providing they don't get a 12-point deduction for FFP that's been investigated at the moment, if the youngsters Sibley and Lowe and Bird all improve around Rooney, and Rooney can, like be the mentor character and, sort of see them all through. There's an argument that a lot. There you go. So I've got about 9 teams getting promoted now. But there's an argument for a lot of teams to improve. However, we've said it during the show a few times. They can't all improve. No. As your worst former manager Ian Holloway said once, only one team can win a football match, and I can argue black as white that if Norwich play Watford on the first day, that they both should win, but they can't.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So look, those are kind of my picks for teams I think should do well, but then we'll probably get something ridiculous like Stoke will be on 2 points per game after 25 games and be out in front, or something ridiculous will happen because they've underperformed, or Barnsley under Gerhard Struber, who are a lot of fun, will all of a sudden be in the top 5 or something. It's so hard to call, Dan. Although I will say, in last year's predictions, I had 5 of the top 6 finished in the top 6, and I had 5 of the bottom 6 in the bottom 6.
Did you really?
I did. Not in the correct places, but yeah. I had them in the top 6, and it was just, do you know the 2 teams that screwed me? Huddersfield.
Oh, God.
And Millwall. I think I had Millwall 18th.
Right.
And they finished,
pretty much about 19th. I think we finished the season before. Yeah.
And they finished 8th. So Huddersfield and Millwall were the 2 that screwed me. So congratulations to Millwall for completely messing up my predictions last season.
Hey, 4 out of 5 is not bad at all. I'll probably get 1 out of 5, but I will agree on what you said. I can't see past Norwich and Watford being there or thereabouts, and Brentford for me. Derby, the Derbies, the Middlesbroughs, I know they've had points deducted. The Sheffield Wednesdays.
That's another. Sorry, Dan. Quickly, anywhere Neil Warnock is in the Championship, out of anywhere can get promoted. By the way, true. Whoever he's got doesn't matter. He'll sign Paddy Kenny and Sol Bamba and finish 3rd or something, won't he?
Go and get Paddy Kenny and wheel him out, won't they? But just them clubs every year, they set it like an house on fire, and then they go, it's going to be their year, and then to just go boom. And to answer your question on Neil Harris, again, not to be negative because he's a Millwall legend. I think, and I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong, as long as it's not at Millwall's expense. I think that he's peaked there now, and I think he's never had money to spend as a manager. I'm not surprised at what he did. He got results, and I think with him in charge, it was that they had the best away record in the division. He is very good at what he does, but I don't know. I think giving him the opportunity to spend money with his previous track record of transfer dealings, I'm not sure he'll get it right. I'm not sure that's really where he wants to be. That sort, up in Cardiff, that wouldn't determine him leaving the job. But I don't know. I just got a feeling that he's peaked under them, and I think he could fall away next year. Listen, as long as it's not at Millwall's expense, I'm happy for them to come second as long as we win the league. And, you know what I mean? I can't see it. But what do you think? Realistically, honestly, where do you think Millwall will finish, and what would you class as a successful season? What should our fan base class, in your opinion, as a successful season?
Well, look, I can't tell a Millwall fan what to think. That's never going to happen. And you should never dampen anybody's expectations. Do you know what I mean? I always think that's unfair.
Let us dream, mate.
Exactly. Because I would have said exactly the same thing to Norwich and Sheffield United fans in 18-19. And, they would come to me at the end and say, bye-bye, see you all, we're in the Premier League now. So, look, there's a lot of good happening at Millwall. So what you're looking for is arguments that they can improve from 8th. Because like I say, 7th, great, that's improvement, but 6th, wow, you're in the playoffs then, and anything can happen over 3 games. You bad refereeing decision, early goal.
We get a few of them bad refereeing decisions, aren't I?
And you can win or lose a playoff, but it doesn't matter if you're playing Norwich, who are probably going to drop a fortune after they've sold one of their players. Anyway, back to Millwall. I think Rowett and Millwall is a really good fit. I think that works well, and I think he'd been meandering in his career a little bit with Derby and Stoke, and I think this is a good fit. It depends on the recruitment. Do they now circle the wagons and say, that's it, done, we're going to have a go this season with this team, with Hutchison, with Cooper, with Bart, with Woods, with Wallace and Parrott, and say, we're going to have a go with this team. We're not selling. If we don't go up, we'll sell 2 at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? They can do that. And if they do, and if the pattern of play works as well as it did last season, they have to be better, because obviously they finished 8th. But they can learn that system a bit more. Is Jed Wallace going to get 16 goals and 10 assists again? I
sincerely hope so.
I'm sure you do, because then his value is going to be 20 million, not 10 million, isn't it? So, are you relying a lot on one player? Will Troy Parrott score 10, 15 goals and be a really good loan signing? Will Ryan Woods play anything like the Ryan Woods at Brentford, who was an outstanding playmaker at Brentford, lost his way at Stoke, obviously? And then you say, will Marlon Romeo have a good season as to how he can? Will Ben Thompson stay fit and be really good? Will you get 30 games out of Billy Mitchell? There's all these arguments that if these things happen and they all happen together at the same time, make it look like Millwall could have a really, really good season. But the question is, what are the odds of all of those things,
all those factors combining and working right,
for them to go up from 8th to 6th? Or, God, when you reel them all off, if Jed Wallace improves and they're already tight and Parrott scores some goals, well, you're looking at 4th place, not 6th place. Do you know what I mean? It's, you start to get very, very carried away and very excited. But an injury, some bad luck, a key sale, and, you're going from 8th down to 12th quite quickly, aren't you? So it's very difficult to say. What I will say, though, before you come in, Dan, sorry to talk over you, Millwall fans need to understand that there are 7 teams with parachute payments this season. So effectively, Millwall are already top of the league, finishing 8th. Do you know what I mean? In terms of the financial advantage that those teams have. There is no shame in Millwall finishing anywhere between 8th and 16th. There's no shame in that. There's a lot of teams with what I consider a quite unfair advantage in the way the money is distributed. So where can they finish? Well, if all goes well, in the playoffs for sure. If lightning in a bottle, even higher. You never know. Where should they finish? Well, they're doing a great job to already be 8th, is what I would say.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should say that, because the way you said that, it tees out perfectly. I feel like we spoke in detail about, can we get promoted? Do we make the playoffs? The majority of Millwall fans, I say the majority, not everyone, wouldn't want to go up. They because they don't like the Premier League. They know it's sanitised. They are a load of shit. They want to go up. I would like to go up again for a season or two, because when you look back at the only other time we was ever there in the late 80s and the early 90s.
Sheringham and Cascarino, yeah.
Them players, them kits, it's iconic to look back and watch the videos. And I would, obviously, this not lie as well, as we spoke off air before, it help my channel a great deal if we got up. So it's always all about me, so I'll throw that one in.
Dan, I always ask this question, right? Is it that bad to be Norwich? Do you know what I mean?
No.
To 9 years out of 10, either have Premier League broadcast money or parachute payments, have 4 promotions, win a lot, I know you guys have done well in cups and playoffs and things of that nature to get to Wembley, but as an Ipswich fan, I've never been to the new Wembley, one of a few teams. Is it that bad to get up for one season, guarantee that parachute money, and be a big championship team that's financially stable. Is that bad?
I think as well, we're looking at it from a money point of view. I just think, as an existence, as a football fan, so we've been to the new Wembley 4 times, the old Wembley once, Cardiff, the going up, the coming down, the going back up, the cut runs. As a football fan, stepping away from the money side, it's just the excitement of the existence of being that football fan. I mean, I always look at it and think, I don't know, imagine you was a Newcastle fan for the last 20 years. Right, big club, what have they actually done? They just there or thereabouts. They never do well in cups. You're probably going to tell me they've won a cup now or something like that. But it must just be, maybe a bad example. Think of a championship side that just don't do anything. They're just...
Ipswich.
Yeah, but at least you've gone down now. It's something to look for and try and get back up.
Yeah, and then we stink out League One. But no, seriously, Dan, to your point, I've spoken to Man City fans who can't afford to go to 18 Champions League games and 3 cup finals a year. And they preferred it when they could get a ticket and Joe Royle was the manager and they went up and they went down and they had Sean Goater and, they preferred it then. Although you'd never take the Aguero thing away from them. I know what you mean. Yeah. I know what you mean. That it's nice to know that as a Millwall fan, you're a fan of a club that has a real strong identity, a uniqueness, and you punch high. You punch your weight. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this thing as well. So we've had 3 seasons back in the Championship now. 3. Yeah, this is going to be our 4th. First season 8th, and I think it was if we finished 12th. 15th and had a good cup run, everyone would be fine with that. But it's because of the fact we nearly got there the first season. Second season, we nearly got relegated. Third season, we nearly got to the playoffs again. I think when you get there, you dare to dream and you start believing, don't you? I just think all Millwall fans want is to be established in the Championship and have a decent cup run and a few away days. That's all the majority of us really want.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no shame in that, and there's no shame in hoping to go up those extra 2 places up into the playoffs, or hoping to start, selling some big money players and to start trying to compete. But, it's not a bad thing to be stable and not be risking money. And okay, you might not disclose your transfer fees or your contract lengths or whatever, but that strikes me as a well-run club that's not taking stupid, dumb risks, that's not afraid to be in League One and get back up and finish 8th twice in the first 4 years. That's not a bad thing. None of those are a bad thing.
No, well, I started this channel and I did 2 years in League One.
There you go.
Championship at the time. Your club. Let's talk about your club now, Ipswich. Now in League One, finished 11th last season, managed by Paul Lambert, obviously. Took over a sinking ship. It was already pretty much doomed when you went down for the previous manager you were just telling me about. How do you feel about that with the Norwich connection to Paul Lambert? Agent Lambert, I've heard some people call him.
Yeah, it's just Norwich fans trying to banter, isn't it? God, lots in that. Some argue that he didn't take over a sinking ship and that he still had 30 odd games to go, but he certainly managed to spin the narrative that we were already sunk. And
was it 30 games to go? Oh, fair enough. I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, well, we played you, and it was announced before the game, wasn't it? And he was hidden in the kitchener with his flat cap down and his scarf up, so no one could see him. I spotted him obviously because I was in the home stand watching from there. Look, it's been very, very bad for a long time. Obviously, McCarthy left and the wheels absolutely fell off, and part of that is because McCarthy left, and obviously a big part of that is because of stupidity after McCarthy left and not being able to cope with, running after he'd gone. I'm not bothered that Lambert used to manage Norwich. It was 10 years ago. It is what it is, and in some ways, it's kind of a fun 2 fingers up because Bobby Robson never managed Norwich and Alf Ramsey never managed Norwich, but Norwich's greatest manager of the last 20 years is working for Ipswich. So, there's a kind of weird, look, obviously, would I rather have had Norwich's last 10 years of league finishes or Ipswich's? I'd rather have had Norwich's, obviously, in the 4 promotions and the 5 relegations or whatever they've done. It's not been good, Dan. They made a right mess of it last year. All the things. We were top for a long time. Yeah.
Because I remember my mate, Sammy Smolich, he was on loan at Peterborough. Now, they beat you 4-1 at your ground. I remember that because he scored a couple.
Well, and he was because it was a culture.
Went south after that, didn't it?
Yeah, he was linked with us at the start of the season. Went off to Bristol City, didn't he? But the thing that bothers me, Dan, is if you finish fourth, you win more games than you lose. Simple. If you finish fourth bottom, you lose more games than you win. If you finish 11th, you're either kind of average, or you're very erratic. And we were very erratic to the point where our form for a few months was like Champions League, and our form for then a few months after that was bottom of the league. That just bothers me. I'd rather finish 11th and win a couple, draw one, lose one, draw one, lose one, and that's a 6 games for an 11th place team. Not win 3 of them and lose 3 of them, but don't concede any goals in the ones you win, and don't score any goals the one you lose. So it's worrying, but you know what it's like, Dan. We had a pre-season friendly. We played really well, and I'm all excited again now. So,
well, listen, I'd say you're right what you say. I never thought of it from that point of view about Lambert. You could, for the Norwich fans calling him Secret Agent Lambert, you could say, well, look what he achieved for you, and that just shows you what the club means to him. Nothing. Obviously, if he's come to manage us, you know what I mean? It's a good little way of looking at it. But he has got the credentials, regardless of him managing whichever club in East Anglia. He has got the credentials to get you out of the division. He's done it with Norwich, back-to-back promotions, didn't he?
It's just a long time ago now, is it? And it's Dan. What is the statute of limitations on credentials? When do they cease to become impressive?
Well, I think on a different amount, Jose Mourinho's have run out now.
Well, there you go. Exactly. It's
what like how long years ago. He's gone, mate. He is gone as well.
But yeah, exactly. And I mean, he was the greatest manager in the world when Inter were doing the treble, weren't they? And going off to Madrid and beating that Pep team. But yeah, does it matter in 2020? And that's the thing. We'll find out.
You saw 3 new players yesterday, didn't you? A little look earlier.
Yeah, a couple of days ago. This is the pond we're shopping in now. We signed the Northampton goalkeeper, a 35-year-old from Stoke. And God, who else did we sign? Who was the third? God, I'm being so thick. I'm in Millwall. I'm in Millwall
mode. Well, I'll tell you what we'll talk about then. Finally, you mentioned him. He managed us both. Big Mick McCarthy.
Mick McCarthy.
I'd say that was from an outsider looking into your world. There seemed to be a certain thing with fans wanting more. Didn't think McCarthy was enough anymore. Been there too long.
Yeah.
Needed bigger dreams and bigger plans. And I do laugh when I watch it. I can't lie. That interview where they go, he goes, what, like Ipswich? That works out well for him.
Yeah. Well, look, what I will say is, before we talk about Mick, is that people are very guilty, especially in football, of binary thinking, of black and white. And often, a lot of things can be true at the same time that don't necessarily conflict with each other. So what I will say is Mick McCarthy a good manager? Of course he is. Look, he's been a manager for years and years, got Ipswich up to 5th place. Had Mick McCarthy's time run its course at Ipswich? Yes, it had. It was time to be done. Have Ipswich made a lot of stupid decisions since he left? Yes, of course. Did Mick leaving also impact it? Yes, of course. These are all little things in the pot of Ipswich's failure. Do the press love Mick McCarthy? Yes. Does Mick McCarthy know how to play the press like an absolute little fiddle? Yes. He's very charismatic and he's very clever. Were Ipswich fans narky with Mick McCarthy? Yes. Was Mick McCarthy narky with Ipswich fans? Yes. Who has got more power in that situation? The Ipswich fans who just look stupid after they've got relegated, or this very charismatic former national football manager who literally shows up, does his I'm a gruff Yorkshireman act, and the press, it's like their wet dream, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things at play. He did an absolutely brilliant number of protecting his brand and making the Ipswich fans look stupid. Should he have apologised for telling us to F off after we scored at Norwich? Yeah, of course he should have apologised. Yeah? Should Ipswich fans have, sang Mick McCarthy, your football is SHIT, and he got some stick that he shouldn't have got. Of course, there's a lot of things that were true, and that is Mick. Players love him. The media absolutely love him. Will he be back in the Championship? Of course. Will he do a good job? I thought he was going to get Bristol City, and if he'd have got Bristol City, I would have been worried if I was a Millwall fan, because I'd be like, oh well, they'll be coming for a top 7 or 8 position now. So look, a lot of stuff happened with Mick. Some of it's true, some of it's not true. It's not black or white, and I was very narked with him at the time, because if you imagine splitting up with a girl or whatever, and she manages to make you look stupid in front of all your friends, you're going to be a bit narked. But then over time, the truth.
Time's a healer, mate, isn't it?
Time is a healer. He's a good manager. Players love him. The media loves him. He didn't behave impeccably. We didn't behave impeccably. We've done terribly since he left. Some of that's down to him going, but a lot of it isn't.
Just finally, with your rose-tinted glasses on now as an Ipswich fan, but as we spoke, we're all a little bit biased towards our own team, whether we want to be or not, or say we aren't. It's just there, isn't it? Do you think you can go up this year? Do you think you will go up?
I mean, by all rights, I'm sitting here whining on about competitive imbalance in the Championship. By all rights, Ipswich should bully their way out of League One by, do you know what I mean? Not being arrogant, but the fact is they have higher commercial income. They've got better squad, better players, more experienced manager, a bigger fan base, other than a Sunderland or maybe a Pompey in that division. They should do. And I'll say what I said about the parachute teams. If Ipswich operate in a way that isn't cataclysmically stupid, and all Ipswich have to do to get up is be merely competent. That's all they have to do.
Yeah, they've got to do nothing out of the ordinary. They just got
out of the ordinary. Exactly what we were talking about, Bart. Beat the teams you should beat. Don't do terribly in the big games, and you'll get promoted out of League One if you're Ipswich. But like I said, they were massively erratic. So should they? Yes. And that's not me being an arrogant fan of a supposedly larger League One team. Will they? I don't know. Lambert,
you don't know what Ipswich is going to turn up, do you?
No, the one that was top of the league, for a lot of the season, or the one that, lost at home to Fleetwood and Bristol Rovers and Coventry and Oxford and too many times,
That's the thing with me as a Millwall fan, and it's good to think of other clubs' positions, because you always think of your own club, your own position, your own worries, and your own, putting your own. We all do. You put your own team down. You're not sure what Ipswich team's going to turn up. We know at Millwall they're going to kick bollock and bite and give 100% every time. We know that's all we want, and we know that's what we're going to get, regardless of
And Dan, that's where it's difficult when you've had Bobby Robson from 1969 through, won the FA Cup, the UEFA Cup, had Alf Ramsey and won the league, and then had the run under Burley and then the Premier League. So the issue is expectation as well at somewhere like Ipswich. And you were saying, okay, Cascarino and Sheringham and the First Division there, but your expectations are very realistic about what you want, whereas Ipswich fans were spoilt for a long, long time. For a club of that size to be a European powerhouse like they year after year in Europe, unbeaten at home in Europe, insane. Bobby Robson, insane. 1981 team, ridiculous.
Well, listen, mate, I genuinely hope that you do get back in the Championship, but regardless of if you do or not, your channel just goes from strength to strength, mate.
Thank you. Can I do some plugs for it, Dan?
I was literally going to say, mate, plug away. It's all yours. Because you've got a Patreon page, you've got all sorts going on. So you tell everyone exactly what you want to say. And I'll put all the links, to say in the description below. Yeah,
so first of all, Championship content. So just subscribe, just type Benjamin Bloom into YouTube and my face will appear. If you have anything to say about my hair, you're probably not wanted on the channel. We're talking football over there, Dan, not hair and beauty. But no, I just you can come and subscribe and even have a pop at my hair. There you go. So Championship content, match reviews, previews. Hopefully we'll actually get to a game and we'll get down to Millwall. So we cover every team in the Championship basically. So well worth subscribing if you are a Millwall fan. And if you want to help a brother out, I don't have a job. I don't have any sponsors. I don't have enough ad revenue. So I've set up a Patreon. There's a $3 tier and a $5 tier. And for the $5 tier, you get some exclusive content. Although lots of lovely people down are happy to just do the $3 tier and just say, oh, I would spend that on a coffee anyway. So I want you to succeed. So yeah, that's the sales pitch. And hopefully I'll see you, Dan, at the Den when the doors open, if and when that happens.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Let us know we want to come down, and I'll get you some tickets. We'll sit together and pick the bones out of it.
Do you sit in the Dockers?
No, I sit where you sit, Kitchener.
Ah, lovely. Okay, for sure. Yeah. Love it up there.
Yeah, it's decent, mate. It's a good little ground, and it really does seem that you really, you've got it with the club. You understand it, and a couple of years Ipswich don't go up, you're welcome to switch sides if you want.
hey, if the tickets are on the table, I'll be down there, my friend. But yeah, thank you. And without sounding wet or pandery, because I'm telling the truth, it's been brilliant going to Millwall. Absolutely brilliant, unique club, and I will honestly say, and my missus will vouch for this when she's come with me, the amount of times we get stopped and just working class, down to earth, nice people. Hello, mate. I watch your channel. Shake your hand. On you go. No, nothing. No sniping. No rubbish. Oh, here comes Billy Big Boots with his YouTube channel or whatever.
I must be doing something wrong there, mate.
But no, really, really good people and really, really great club.
Legend, mate. I really enjoyed having you on. I'd love to have you on again, but say check Ben's Patreon out if you can donate to that. You check out you got a mini league going on, I think, now as well. Subscribe
Fantasy League, yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about with the Fantasy League. I just plugged it in, and I'm sure some nerd will come in and completely boss it. But yeah, you can go and sign up for the Fantasy League as well.
Well, mate, listen, you know your football, that's for sure, and that's why I say there's a big call for you to come on. I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully, my friend, will speak again soon.
Absolutely, and absolute respect to Millwall as a club and the Millwall fans.
Brilliant. Well done, mate. Cheers, Ben.
Thanks, mate.